Welcome everybody so that we can get started. There we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our YTRI webinar. There we go. My name is Jason Johnson, and I am really excited for our webinar today for a couple reasons. One, because we've got some really good friends on that organizationally and individually, we and I have had the opportunity to work pretty closely with now for a couple years, and it has been so fun watching them grow as practitioners and them take some of the tools that we have trained on and really make them a key part of how they work with students. But most importantly, just to see the work that they're continually doing to help improve student lives out there where they're working. And then the other reason that I'm excited is because they I I'm we're going to highlight specifically some of the work and some of the special projects that they've done, and in particular a recent really cool outing that they were able to take some students on and just hopefully learn how that all came together, because it just sounds awesome and I'm so impressed by it. So as I mentioned, my name is Jason Johnson. I represent the YTRI organization. I'm the director of training for the organization. Prior to that, I worked in public ed as a school psychologist. And let me begin by actually, before I introduce our subject, let me welcome all of our attendees today, as well as our panelists. These webinars this is one of a series that has been ongoing since 2020. I've done, I think, close to 80 of these now. And so it's become a really fun thing that I love that we get to do. We get to highlight great voices in the world of education and mental health and um, resilience. And so it's just been awesome. The YTRI organization, for those on that may not be familiar, we've been around for about 20 years. Our specialty is helping people teach the skills and the sources of resilience. That's kind of been our bread and butter. And so we have some resources that we go out and train on. But the funnest part, as I mentioned, has been becoming one of the larger voices, I think, nationally here in the world of resilience, and being able to collaborate and connect with other great humans. And so the webinar series has been an important part of that, to really be able to elevate voices and help people connect and network who have similar passions for helping build student resilience. We are on a webinar link, which means the three of us panelists are the only ones with live microphones and live cameras. We cannot see you and we cannot hear the rest of you that are attending as attendees. So I'm going to make a request to all of our attendees. If you are willing, please adjust your chat setting. The chat will be our primary means of engaging with you as attendees. Please adjust your chat setting so that you're sharing comments with everyone, so that everyone can see your comments. The way you can do that is in the chat tool, where you would type in a message. Right above where you would type the message, it says to, and then there's a little drop down menu. If you click on that, change that over to everyone, and it will make it so that everyone can see your comments. If that says to hosts and panelists, or to anything other than everyone, then your comment will not be able to be seen properly. So make that adjustment. And then after you've made that adjustment, go ahead and type an emoji in the chat that expresses how you are feeling going into your holiday break, that you have either started or you are about to start. Go ahead and let us know how you're feeling about that, how you're feeling about things at this time of year, which starts to get a little bit crazy. Nice. And it looks like a few of you still have your chat set to hosts and panelists. Again, if you're willing to adjust that over to everyone, it'll make sure that everybody can see your comments. Yeah, this is you're expressing how I'm feeling about this as well.
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. Some relaxation and recharge those batteries, right? Um, well, I think our subject and our panelists today will be a way that we can all start to recharge our batteries a little bit. I think it's a great message that we'll be able to hear going into the holiday break. We're going to listen to some stories of resilience that have happened just this year that have occurred with what I think is just an exceptional team of educators and facilitators. So let me introduce our panelists and then we'll get into the material. First of all, let me introduce to you Renee Solis. Renee is a program facilitator with the Choices Prevention Program for Tulare County Office of Education in California. He's dedicated over 20 years to education, specializing in things like mental health, suicide prevention, social emotional learning for children and adolescents. Much of his work has focused on supporting underprivileged youth, addressing the unique challenges that they face and ensuring that they have access to critical resources and emotional support. His experience includes collaborating with school districts, communities to promote mental wellness, provide critical interventions, etc. Passionate about making a lasting impact on the well-being of all students, particularly those in underserved communities by creating supportive environments. Renee, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you being on today.
Very nice to see you.
And next we have Brianna Garza. Bree is a dedicated professional with a passion for supporting youth and communities, background in psychology, been working with elementary age students since 2015, a diverse background in case management, data entry at a mental health clinic, and has developed a well-rounded skill set in both education and mental health support. Currently in her second year as a prevention specialist, with the same group, Tulare County Office of Education Choices Program in California. Brianna serves as a specialist for the Children of Promise Project and is deeply committed to creating positive outcomes for young people, equipping teachers and schools with the resources that they need to foster a supportive learning environment. Bree, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is your first time on as a panelist. Welcome.
It is, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And then myself, as I mentioned, my name is Jason Johnson. I represent the YTRI organization, where I have the privilege to be the director of training, where I get to go out. I present at conferences. I train groups both virtually and in person, and do workshops as well on everything from improving our ability to teach the skills of resilience to student connection and student relationships, and all the fun stuff. Really, really love and feel grateful for the opportunity I get to collaborate with educators and mental health providers throughout the country. It's a great way for me to keep a really hopeful outlook even when things can feel really messy and complex. It's connecting with just the best people all the time. I was just in Virginia this week. Last week I was with a group as well, out on the road, and every time I leave, I leave just recharged a little bit, knowing that the best people are doing this. So I'm excited. So today I am hoping that Renee and Bree can give us a little bit of insight. I definitely want to hear some of their story. They have a great story to tell, but I also want to dig into a little bit the kind of the genesis and evolution of how this all came together, because it's always helpful. I think it's really helpful for practitioners to hear how other people are able to make some of these really incredible things happen. And you all have you did an incredible thing this year, but it's kind of part of a series of some other events that you are able to consistently do. So I was hoping that you could kick things off just by telling us a little bit about the district and the community that you represent and you work with. And then I'm going to pivot over and have you tell a little bit about some of these programs. But let's start with you, Renee. Tell us a little bit about your district and your community there, where you're at specifically, and what type of students you're serving.
Right. So we work for a county office of education. So we're in the county of Tulare, and a lot of different schools, a lot of rural communities, very underserved communities, as well as some pretty large cities as well. So we have a very diverse group of people that we work with and different types of students. But in our office, we kind of work like a nonprofit. We're all on soft money. So everything we do is all from grants. And so currently we have about 14 different grants in our office that we're running. And a good portion of those, everything from prevention programs, tobacco use prevention, drug alcohol prevention, to suicide prevention and mental health, as well as social emotional learning, and where we utilize a lot of Y-Tri throughout a few different grants. And so we have a decent staff here, all kind of doing different things. Our county, is pretty spread out. We're in the middle of California, so there's a lot of farmland. And so we have to go some pretty far off places. We actually sent Bree this year up kind of into the mountains. It was a school that nobody's ever served. We actually from our Tulare County Office of Education. It was a really interesting opportunity to do that. But what we try to do is find programs that are going to serve the different populations of students that we work with, that we have here in the county. And so it's not always easy. Some of them are going to be at a tier 1 level, and we kind of just go everywhere we possibly can. We do have tier 2 levels that we work with as well, and then give support in any other way we can to schools that we're helping give trainings to, or that want to run some of the curriculums that we help get to them. One of them being Y-Track. So we have a lot of opportunities to get these curriculums out to the different districts, and then we have to have a lot of students, or not a lot of students, but a lot of staff to do that with. And so Bree is going to talk about the Children of Promise program here in just a second, and that one specifically is a pretty unique thing. One of the things that we try and do, and we have been doing with our staff here and some of our managers as well, is be very creative in how we deliver some of these programs. It's not always easy, especially getting grants. Everybody's very innovative and doing different things. And so we have to create something that not only we think is going to be effective, but is going to be something possibly a little bit new and different for the students. And one of the things we do like about Y-Tri specifically, though, is it speaks for itself. We don't have to worry too much about that curriculum. When we present it correctly, it usually does the trick across a variety of different grants, and so that's always been fun. But yeah, so that's what we do for Tulare County Office of Education at the Choices Prevention Program. The County Office of Ed has a lot of tentacles and is in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things. But our role here is prevention work, and then helping these schools kind of get these opportunities for their students.
I love it. Thank you. What a great and inspiring explanation. And I will say, in conjunction with that, we're not going to dig too much into the kind of how this functions from like a grant standpoint.
Right.
But if that is interesting, there's a previous webinar that we held where we kind of highlighted the team, and one of the team members, a friend of ours named Jeff, is kind of the guy that helps organize all these. And I think it's a really useful model to observe because of how they've been able to maintain that consistent funding, especially whereas Renee described, that's kind of the requirement to make all this function. I think you used the term, it was it soft money, soft
Off
funding?
money. So every 3 to 5 years, depending on which grant we're talking about, those grants come up again, and we've been really fortunate that our team just provides good services, and we have people coming back and wanting more of it, so we can re-up those grants and keep everybody doing what they really do best.
That's awesome. It's been so inspiring to see, and we love being a part of it. So YTRI, as I mentioned, we have resources that they've been trained on and that they use, and they've been able to very easily connect to the purpose of some of those grants. So with that, Renee, that set us up perfect. I want to pivot over now and hear from you, Bree, specifically one of the projects that you both work with that I'm really excited to hear more about and have you share with our attendees is this program called the Children of Promise Project. And so I was wondering, Bree, if you could tell us more about it. Specifically, give us a little background. How is it funded? Who does it serve? What is its purpose? Anything else that would be interesting to people that aren't familiar with it?
Yeah, so the Children of Promise Project has been a part of our office for a really long time. This program is actually funded through the Health and Human Service Agency for Tulare County. So that's where we get our funding from. This grant is written so that it's a 3-year grant. So every single year, it's kind of a different process. And it's basically what we're doing is training teachers to take over this SEL curriculum. And the one that we've been using and have been loving has been the YTRI program. Students have been connecting with it. Teachers love it. They request that we stay longer because this is actually our 3rd year. So we will be working with new schools in the next year once we re-up. Um, but we work primarily with rural schools. So I know Tulare County already is a pretty rural area because of all like the farmland that we have. But we really look at a map and kind of say, okay, which schools are they're not around anything. They're not around neighborhoods, stores, gas stations, anything like that. And we locate them. We identify those schools. We also are looking for underserved schools or schools in this area. There's a large Latino or Hispanic population, and that's primarily who we serve as well. So it's also a lot of like low income areas, especially when you're talking about farm workers or things like that. And that's the areas that we are a lot of the times in. And then the age that we primarily serve is 4th and 5th grade. So we will go to a school and kind of ask what they need the most, and then work with them based off of what they kind of tell us. And then we would work with that school's entire 5th grade population or entire 4th. And in some instances, we work with both their 4th and 5th grade population. So it could be a lot of students. But we've also been at schools that are so rural that between the 4th, it's a combined 3rd and 4th class and a combined 5th and 6th. And altogether, that's still only about 30 students. So it all kind of depends. But our primary purpose is, like I said, to train the teachers in this curriculum so they can take it over by using like this 3-year model, which in the first year, the specialist, which would be me, would be modeling and teaching the entire YTRI curriculum. In the second year, it'd be a co-teaching experience. And in the 3rd and final year, the teachers would be taking over and I'd be providing technical or in-class assistance, depending on what the teacher needs and how we communicate that. But really, the goal of the program is to increase student attendance, to increase grades, to increase students' self-esteem and resilience, and also decreasing students' use of drugs and alcohol or feelings of hopelessness or depression. And all of this we kind of gather information on at the front end of when we start the YTRI program. And then one more week on the back end where we kind of do a pre and post survey using YTRI as pre and post. So yeah, it's been fabulous and the teachers and students have really connected to it. So it's been a great program.
That is awesome. Okay, I love it. Here's what I'm wondering if you can then maybe dig in
Sure.
to a little bit is maybe share some of the specific concepts or skills that you all have identified. So I heard you mention kind of like so you described so like the populations that you're trying to serve,
Mhm.
and kind of how you identify those to go out and serve them. And then you described some of the big picture challenges that you're really trying to address, things like attendance, grades, resilience, emotional well-being, in general. What then are some of the specific skills or concepts? Like, how do you break that down into specific skills that you would try to teach to help address some of those. And wondering if you'd be willing to share a little bit about that. And I'll throw this to both of you. I'm interested in both of your input on this because my understanding is, and you can elaborate a little further if
Mhm.
you'd like, but my understanding is the way you run this program is you go out, you model it yourselves first, you actually deliver it, but then part of the process is you're training the teachers to, by that year 3, be able to take over and be teaching those same skills, be delivering those same things that you had been delivering prior to that. So what are some of the skills and concepts that you're really focusing on through this?
Yeah, so I think going back again to the week at the front end and the back end, that first week when we do the pre-survey, I kind of look at the data and see like where are students kind of like they're in the middle or there's a gap, right? There's something going on here that they need more of. So this past year, actually, we identified a couple. So we talked a lot this year about, like for example, desire, time, and effort. So we talked about creating goals, but also how are we going to get there and what choices are we going to be making to get there. Um, every single Y try lesson that we use can definitely be a skill that the students can utilize in their life. But for, like I said, this past year, desire, time, and effort has been one of the biggest ones, where students are actually able to write down what is their goal, not just saying it or thinking it or like, I don't know, I don't have one, right? Which is like a common response that students will have. But we talk about how the small goals that we make can help us get to the big one. So creating a plan of what are we going to do to get there, right? And then with these students, it's a lot of tier 1 students. So there's, of course, tier 2, tier 3 students mixed in. But we're talking to everybody about these types of things. And we also are talking to them about how, our decisions or the choices that we make have consequences that are going to affect us in the future. So it might not seem like it now, but one day it can come back, right? And so we tie that in a lot to desire, time, and effort. I think the reality, right, has been one of the lessons that stick the most with students, and that we can really refer back to in every single lesson that we go through. Every single time they're like, well, is it kind of like when you're making a choice, taking the easy fast versus the hard but worth it? And it's like, yes, exactly. So students are really identifying that. This model has also been so amazing, if I can add, because there's some students who, like I said, we work with sometimes the 4th and 5th graders from a specific school. So I've come across students who have experienced the program twice. And then they actually will go up in front of the screen and then they teach the class. They'll come up and they'll stand and they'll point. They're like, okay, well, this is what this means because we talked about it last year and kind of build on it. So, we're kind of surrendering the one up with that, definitely 100%. And it's really amazing to see, or even kind of like how proud they are to have remembered something from last year, bring it up, and then continue on with the lesson or learn something new from it, like divulge it like a little deeper that time.
Oh, that is awesome. I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
been great. Yeah.
Renee, what would you
Yeah.
add to that?
I think Bree did a great job talking about what the students are really working on as their skill set, and she has a good handle on that. One of the things that again with the program specifically is now the skills that we're teaching the teachers, right? So these are teachers that are seasoned. They know how to run a classroom, but how to integrate Y-Tri into that classroom and have them take over this idea, because we want them to thrive beyond us being there, right? And so Bree creating that relationship with them, having them have a good understanding of what she's doing when she's teaching it, and then that co-teaching year, which is important as well. So that way in the 3rd year, it's mostly just being there for technical assistance. Do you have this? What do we need? How can we support? And so having them walk through that process, and it's a slow one, right? It's 3 years long where they get the opportunity to not just get handed a new curriculum and say, all right, make this work. We're there to walk them through that process for the sake of the students, obviously, but for them, for the sake of the longevity of the programs, and having Y-Tri be a part of it. Moving forward and ongoing, again, Bree said that we will have these schools for a specific amount of years, and then we'll move on to different schools so we can kind of hit all the schools throughout the county, or at least that's the goal, the rural sites. But still being able to provide that technical assistance that we can still go back and just give them little bits and pieces here that they need to continue ongoing this Y-Tri curriculum in their classrooms as they continue to move forward with the new students that coming in, even if we're not there. And so that's a huge piece. This is the second or third program with Y-Tri that we've done a phase in, phase out model, and it just for the longevity of them having that curriculum around, which they really love and appreciate. But things happen, right? So sometimes it's a second year or third year, and Bree gets a brand new teacher in there teaching that class, and so we have to pivot and work with them in different ways. So every year is a little bit different, but the ongoing process of that phase in, phase out model has been really beneficial. But the skills that the teachers learn, I love the process. It doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be just now you need to get this disseminate into your thinking and go. We help them through the process.
That is awesome. How many schools would you say that you like each individually support through this?
So it's by semester also. So we'll see one set of schools in the first semester and a second set in the second. For the first semester, we work with 4 schools, which is 11 teachers, and it's about 250 students. In the spring semester, we work with 3 schools, but it is a little over 300 students and about 12 to 13 teachers, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, so we see a lot, and it is a quick, kind of turnaround, especially when we're at that semester mark, because everything's ending. Well, all of this is going to get started. So it's a lot, but it's honestly, it's amazing. The teachers love it. And I feel like communication has been the biggest factor in helping this program move so smoothly, and working with the teachers, and even working with the students too. The communication that happens between teacher, student, me to student, and all around. So
That's super cool. I'm going to open up a slide just to give, for those that may not be fully visualizing what is being described. Yeah, Larissa, I'm actually going to throw something up to try to help with that. So when they describe teaching these skills of resilience, what they've done, they've actually pulled those from some of the resources that Y-Tri provides. And what we have done is we have boiled down, we've taken resilience, and we have, let me make sure I'm okay. We've taken resilience and we have broken it down. Can you see that screen that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Perfect. We've broken resilience down to 10 specific individual skills of resilience that contribute to an overall model of resilience. And we're not suggesting that this is a complete list, but these are good, like 10 good foundational skills. And then we have visual metaphors and interactive activity-based teaching models to teach these skills. So when Bree was describing desire, time, and effort, that's part of our hard work and determination learning unit. So they're using those concepts to teach the overall skill of resilience, of hard work and determination. And that influences things like not giving up and completing tasks or completing goals. And so we have a series of visual metaphors that coincides with each one that helps facilitate discussions that can be led towards teaching these skills. And then there's activities and interactive curated video clips, etc., that can help teach those skills. So that's just like one skill of resilience and some of the visual metaphors that can accompany that discussion. One of the other ones that was mentioned was the reality ride. The reality ride is a series of roller coaster based images that help teach the big picture skill of resilience of improved decision making. And so like that would be the skill of resilience that they're teaching, in this case to these 4th and 5th grade kiddos, and then using things like visual metaphors around roller coasters. A roller coaster is a great metaphor for decision making, because once you strap yourself into a roller coaster car and the car takes off, you have to deal with everything that's on that particular roller coaster track that you're on. And so if we get on dangerous tracks based on decisions that we make, we have to deal with the consequences that come later on in that track. And so these are visual metaphor based discussion. It sounds like that you're leading using these resources to help teach these big picture skills of resilience. Resilient individuals are typically going to be good decision makers, recognizing that the decisions that they make have consequences. Is that a fair summation of how you're using these, Bree or
Yes.
Renee?
Yeah, 100%. And then also, Jason, if you wouldn't mind, I'm pulling back up the desire, time, and effort. You pointed something out which I like forgot to mention is that so we do work with fourth and fifth graders, which I did mention. But what makes Y-Try so nice and so like easy to use is that there are different visuals for different grade levels, which we've been utilizing because, like I said, we'll work with fourth and fifth, and so we can kind of have like one version and then they graduate to the next, right? And so really I like to focus on like the fifth and sixth is that the desire, time, and effort is creating a goal, starting off, having a plan. We're gonna go up, we're gonna start working towards our goal, but we're gonna come to this point where, we're in this discouragement zone where we feel like I want to give up. It's too hard. Things are getting too difficult. We're facing too many challenges or hurdles, which is another lesson, jumping hurdles. But we push, we continue on, we use hard work, we give it time, and we continue, and then we get into that accomplishment zone where we're almost there, we can see the end in sight. And what I really try to highlight to students also is that even though we're close to the end, we can still make decisions that might bring us all the way back to the beginning. So it's important that we're making the right decisions all the time, our whole entire journey that we're there. And then we make it to the top of the mountain, which you'll see the little characters up there, but it's meaning basically that they've accomplished that goal, right? And there's going to be little mountains to get you to the big one. And so that, yeah, like I said, that's been an amazing lesson that we've really focused in on this year, having students create goals and you have a plan on how they're going to get there.
And one of the things, just about all of the curriculum that we utilize, because we utilize this in this program for sure. Fifth and sixth, we have a different program we're running that's utilizing that. We've been doing the junior high and high school for the last 4 years before that. So we utilize Y-Try pretty much on every level, or have at least in the past. One of the things that we needed to do in the past was to replace one of our social emotional learning curriculums, and finding this, one of the things we loved about it is there's so many different tools to utilize. So there's not one activity to use for each one. There's multiple activities you can try with different sizes and groups, small groups, tier one classroom size, even some larger groups. There's videos. Again, there's multiple different videos to use. And so because we work with different schools, and every school might be a little bit different, definitely every group has a different dynamic and DNA, it's helpful to have these different tools available for you because just because it works so well. I know that there's been different, especially this year, there's been different classes where Bree has had to pivot. I mean, it's a different type of class, and they just it doesn't work with this activity in this way, and so pivot to something different. And all of those tools have been a part of what Y-Try offers, which has been great for us, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just put up a list, Larissa, as well. This is an overview of the 10 specific big picture skills of resilience that we focus on through our learning units. I'm going to transition over now. You talked about helping your students work towards goals. And this is the part I'm most excited to hear about. You have been able to secure a consistent process of having a pretty exciting payoff event for your students to be able to go out and have some really cool experiences, kind of a celebration event in conjunction with this program. And I think this is probably a big stressful event for you, but it sounds like the payoff is incredible. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what some of these celebratory events you've been able to do and how you've been able to pull them together. I'd love to hear the story on them from both of you, your perspective towards this. And I know you just did one near Thanksgiving, a really cool event. You gave some students an experience that they've never had before, and some of them may not ever have again. Tell us what you were able to do.
Yeah, so like I said, every semester we have different schools. So each semester we'll do a couple of different events, and we usually do a local one, and then we do something that is outside of our community, and that's usually the one that everybody gets really, really excited for. So I'll just talk about this past semester for now. But this past semester we took students to the bowling alley. They heard from a guest speaker, who's a professional boxer. She's really young and she's from the community, so she went out and she talked. Students had food, and we also had some informational booths, some tobacco prevention. We had a Y Tribe booth, so we actually brought out the visual metaphors from all 10 lessons, and we had students tell us, what do you remember about this lesson? And if they remembered one thing, then they got a prize. So that was really cool to see, checking for understanding. But the really big one that Jason, you were talking about that we just did, I think it was the Saturday after Thanksgiving, over Thanksgiving break, is that we actually took we invited originally a little over 200 students to the UCLA Fresno State football game at the Rose Bowl. And we ended up having about 170 students say yes. It's over Thanksgiving, so we expected there to be a little drop. But we took them out. We provided transportation. We provided the tickets. We provided a catered meal. We provided them T-shirts, backpacks, snacks, all of this stuff for free, and it's all part of this grant. So the way that kind of works is our grant is approved for, like I said, those 3 years. We get some funding, and that's where the local event comes out of. But every year we've applied to get additional funds, and that's how we've made all these amazing like one-time events happen, which have honestly been, we've had so many fabulous stories come out of that, and so many interactions I've had with teachers or students about what has gone on at these events, or kind of like the impact that they've had. In the past, we've taken to a couple of different places. We also did the LA Bowl at SoFi Stadium. We've gone to Angel Stadium to watch the Angels versus the Red Sox play at a professional game. And because of the community that we served, it being underserved, it being low income, and a large like Latino Hispanic community, a lot of these students, this is their first time ever going to an event like this. Sometimes some of them ever being outside of Tulare County, or this might be potentially the only time they've ever, or they will ever, go to a professional baseball game, a big college game, so far away from home also. Yeah, so it's been a really amazing experience. A lot of
So
work though.
just to reiterate, if anybody
Yes.
didn't catch it, you took 170 students to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena slash Los Angeles area,
Mhm.
which is how far away from Tulare County is that? What's the
Um,
drive?
3.5 hours.
yeah, 3.5. I think maybe on a charter, like maybe
Yeah.
closer to 4, but yeah.
So a lengthy drive, but young people that in many cases had never experienced anything like that. Renee, what would you add to the overview of the event? And then I've got some detailed questions I want to dig into.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought, or I think, Bree does a great job in planning these things, and so she cares very much a lot about what these students get. One of the cool things is it's not just planning an event for a school or just kids we don't really know. I mean, she spent time with all of these kids, so it's important to her that all these kids have a great event to go to. And so, like you said, going to Pasadena, going to the Rose Bowl, which has its own thing. I mean, the cool one of the cool parts too, not that Fresno State's Fresno State. However, that's the only large university we have here. And so to watch them go to the Rose Bowl and play UCLA, which is a different kind of name, was a really cool experience for them. Didn't work out for Fresno State that day, but it was a good event for sure. One of the actually really neat little thing. I was sitting behind some teachers at the event, and the teachers were excited about one student playing at Fresno State, and he was in their class from Tulare County. He's the starting running back for the Fresno State Bulldogs, and so that was neat for the kids to watch him play as well. It was just a neat, really cool atmosphere. Yeah, so it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of excitement about where they're at and what they're doing, and yeah, I don't really know if they always care who wins because they're just having such a good time in the experience. And we will have questions. I mean, we question it too in our office. Like, what is the educational impact of these types of things? Um, And it's a really important question because we're spending money to take kids to a play, and so one we're teaching them about good choices and possibility throughout the entire semester, and understanding that through the opportunities that they get, possibilities can be big, and we show them things that are big. We go to different places where people have worked hard to be where they're at, and it's a really neat opportunity for them. And sometimes you don't realize what it means to them. That's always where I just get my mind blown. Like, what I've seen is different than what they've seen, and what they go through or what have they have been through. And those kinds of stories are pretty amazing.
I love it. We're going to circle back. I want to hear some of those stories, but one of the things I love about it is, especially when it comes to working with underserved youth and populations, in many cases, they haven't had a model in their life or experience in their life that allows them to kind of expand their vision. And it becomes really easy to have a really limited view of what possibilities are out there. And I love just this whole process of taking a long drive to a big city to see a big event and to see, in some cases, people from their own community that are competing at this high level is such an awesome way to really kind of have your eyes widened and see this thing and go, there's this whole big world out there. And I want to figure out how to engage with this bigger world at whatever level I can. And so I love it. I think it really is a great way to help expand vision for some of these students. So I've got so many questions. I guess in short, I'm going to give you kind of a two-parter that I want to hear. First of all, how do you even go about like making this happen? How do you organize it? This is a big task, and I'm already sensing. So you'll hear me talk sometimes. Like I like to try to recognize, every person's superpower, and I can already tell, Bree, that your superpower is passion and vision. But I get the impression that you are probably pretty organized, pretty good at pulling this stuff together. But how do you get something like this off the ground? How do you connect it to the stuff you're teaching to your students? And then, most importantly, I want to hear about some of your student reactions. Like, tell me stories about how your students have reacted. And I'll throw this out to both of you, but I want to hear first from Brianna.
Sure. So it really starts with trying to obtain the funding, which happens the school year, at the end of the school year before, because it can take months to get that funding approved for the additional funds. And then once, even before we have the okay, we're already looking at, okay, what games are out there? What's going on? Like, what do students want to attend? What's going to work schedule wise? So then I'll communicate with the admin and school teachers and get their school calendars, because every school's, we work at a lot of different districts within the county, so everybody's different. Then we compare it to what we have going on, because we do other events in our office, and then as well as our my calendar days and what that looks like. And then from there we just go. It is kind of a process, really finding those dates. And then so I will communicate, or I will contact some of the people that we are interested in going out to see. So this year we were looking at potentially attending a hockey game. We were looking at returning to the LA Bowl, and then we were looking at the UCLA Fresno State game. And ultimately, due to scheduling and then also kind of what they had available as far as seating, the UCLA Fresno State game worked out the best for us, and which was, I'm so happy that we went there at the end of the day, because it was really watching people from our community out on the field, and the students kind of felt like, oh, that could be me, and like that's an amazing thing. So it's securing where we're going, getting the tickets, and then right after that is transportation. So we're making calls to secure the transportation, food, shirts, all those things, and getting PO requests all the time, emailing, talking on the phone, going back and forth, pushing all that information through, and then it goes through to Jeff, one of our project coordinators, and then it gets sent up the ladder for approval. And all of this is being communicated with the schools the entire time. So every time that I'm in a classroom, I have new information on the game, I will talk to the class as a whole, because students want to know just as much as the teachers want to know what's going on, what's the day going to look like. I'm communicating with admin and teachers on the regular, of trying to obtain chaperones, and all of those kind of fine details. What does the schedule look like for the day? It is really it's a really lengthy process. There's a lot of details. Everything has to be dotted. All the T's have to be crossed in order for it to really work. And there's some times where, there's the unexpected that comes up. So those things do happen. But what I have found to be most helpful is when I'm going through lessons, and like I'll bring up desire, time, and effort, because that's the one we've been talking about, is all of these guys on the football team. All right, they've all reached their goal for here. They're right here on the top. How do you think they're feeling? What are they going through? What can happen if they make a wrong choice? And then we also bring back, well, what do you think their next goal might be? And so students will talk about, well, maybe they want to be professional. Maybe they want to like get their degree because they're in college. And so we kind of work it through that. And then I kind of explain how that, like, they have that potential in them. They have to want it. They have to put in the time. They have to put in the hard work. And it's up to them, because I can't control what they do. I can give them all the advice in the world, but at the end of the day, it's up to them. And so when they kind of think about it in that sense, especially after attending the game and then coming back into the classroom, it's like a bigger deal of who these players are and like what's been going on. So yeah, it's been amazing. And we also talk about the relationships that are built. Like on the trip, students connect more with their teachers. It's outside of the classroom. They connect more with their classmates, different classmates that maybe they didn't talk to before. So it's really been amazing. We connected to a lot of different lessons. But Renee kind of mentioned a part of one of my favorite, memories or student, moments. But for this particular trip, like he mentioned, there was a player who is from one of the schools that we work with, and his teacher, I think she was his fifth grade teacher, was there. So they were cheering him on, and I was sitting with the students from a different school, and they're like, why are they cheering for him? I don't get it. And I explained that, oh, well, they went to that school. They're like, they did? Yeah. I was like, so that could be you if you want that to be you. He's like, well, I never thought that. It's like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, no, that could be you. I was like, they're from a school that's not too far from you. That could be you if you want it to be. If you want that for yourself, you can have it. I was like, you got to work hard, but you can do it. And so we talked about even the band being on the field, and because some students are like, I'm not an athlete, but I love music, right? The band on the field, having those great moments. In past years or past semesters that we've done this event, we've had students who kind of they don't understand the concept of going to one of these large games, because it's something that they never thought that would happen for them. So seeing them light up, and they're like, Miss Bree, thank you so much for bringing me here. They're like, I've never watched baseball before, but now I'm an Angels fan just because you brought us here. So it's kind of amazing to create little fans. I'm a Yankees fan, so I was a little upset at that one, but but yeah, these students are creating memories and relationships that are going to last them. They're seeing something that is beyond what they possibly thought they were capable of, or that people could be capable of, but they saw it firsthand instead of just hearing about it, seeing it on TV. So yeah, it's been amazing, and it's been a blessing to be able
I
to
love it. So you're
support them.
constantly connecting your experience to the concepts that you're
Mm,
teaching. What's the, just out of curiosity, this is the educator in me that always is
yeah.
thinking about this stuff. What ratio do you try to maintain of adult to student?
1 to 10. But a lot of times we have the means to allow additional chaperones. So a lot of times it's like, hey, if you would like to bring your spouse, as long as it's approved through your school district, you're more than welcome to bring them. I think for this past trip, it was an average of like 1 to 7, one adult to every 7 students. Yeah.
Nice. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Renee, what's your experience in relationship to it been? What are some of the reactions you've witnessed from students?
Well, I mean, look, when they're at these events, you can just tell how much fun they're having. They don't want to sit still. Those 1 to 7 ratios, they definitely work. because they're following them around. They want to run and see everything. And again, why not? You're at the Rose Bowl. You've never been to this place before. This is I mean, the visual of that place is pretty amazing in itself, and it's pretty epic to say you were once there. So for me, I because I didn't know these students as well as Bree did. Obviously she's with them every week, and it's a different kind of experience. But watching them um, engage with one another, engage with what's happening around them, to be in awe of everything that's going on, just really was very, very impactful to see. And every time we have an event, there is a lot of students that come back with what Bree's talking about, this idea of a new experience that is now a lifelong kind of here, right? I mean, I don't watch baseball, but why do I like the Giants? My dad took me to the game when I was 4. You know what I mean? That's it. And you're creating these opportunities where they're going to have this emotional tie to something bigger than them. And that's kind of the idea with that whole event. It's just a really cool experience there.
It's awesome. Anytime we can attach um, learning or experiences to events, I think it just makes that stick in our brain that much longer. Like we probably all have nostalgia for events, whether it was from the arts or from the world of sports that we experienced when we were young that have just stuck with us. And so to be able to give some of these experiences to these students is powerful. And I can't help but think, it's such a perfect connection as you're teaching these students about desire, time, and effort. I've worked in education long enough at a large macro level, like I do now, and also within districts, which I did as a school psych prior to this, to know um, stuff doesn't happen without individuals that also understand that concept of hard work and determination and desire, time, and effort. And so, I think these events are a manifestation of you literally living the stuff that you're trying to teach. Because at the end of the day, what's the old saying? If it is to be, it is up to me. Somebody's just got to go out and make it happen. So I really, really tip my hat to your whole team there for their passion and their vision and truly your determination, because we know in education we have a lot of red tape, we have a lot of hoops, we have a lot of forms that have to be signed, we have a lot of departments we have to run stuff up the line through, and sometimes the process alone can be discouraging or exhausting enough that it's easy to kind of throw your hands up and say, I don't know if it's worth it. And so I tip my hat to you for just, bravely going through the process and making it happen. So here's what I want to know now. What's next? What's on the horizon? What are the next plans for your Children of Promise group?
Yeah, so in the spring semester, there's a couple things we got going on. Our local event, we're planning on doing Adventure Park. This time, we're planning on doing breakout rooms, so it's a little different. We are planning to have like a resiliency breakout, some tobacco prevention. We want to have a Y-Tri breakout, but we also want to invite students who would be in the program next school year to come out and kind of give them a little intro to what Y-Tri is going to look like once we're officially there in their classrooms. We are also heading back to the Angel Stadium in April. We're going to watch the Angels and the Guardians, and we're also planning to do, so this is what we've kind of done at past events, but we're doing it again, hosting like a pre-event, and we're going to have a former player come out, talk to the students. Yeah, we got to do that last year too. I forgot to mention it, but yeah, we're going back and
A former Angels player.
yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So we don't know who it's going to be this year. Last year we had Ernesto Frieri. I think that's how you say his last name. He's a pitcher for the Angels. And he was from, I can't remember if he was from Colombia. I think it might have been Colombia. But he came out and he spoke Spanish with the students. And there were so many only Spanish speaking students that it was amazing. They connected so well. But we're going back because we had such a great experience. And now we're just really trying to work on getting schools to work with because our grant is ending and re-upping, which I'm really excited to work with new administration, new teachers, and new students. So it'll be amazing.
And Bree, is it you? Do you just reach out to the Angels organization? How do you, I mean, how does somebody do this?
Yeah, so you if you go online, group ticket sales, and I just call and I explain usually what our program is, and explain that we're grant funded. So a lot of times they'll kind of help us out as much as they can, or provide us with a couple of extra things, because they want to do it for the students as much as we do everything that we do for students. People want to help out too. So yeah.
So just to like my lizard brain that oversimplifies things, this is what you did. You Googled group ticket sales and then you made a call and you said, I represent this group. What can you do for us? And they have just bent over backwards to be accommodating, including connecting you with former players.
Yes. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Renee, what would you add?
I would say that listen, the worst anybody can say is no. So it's not a problem to ask, and so I think the tenacity that Bree has when she calls these places, and one again, I think it is important to explain exactly what the program is. We're working with kids. Here's what we're trying to accomplish through this program. All that stuff is extremely important. But yeah, Bree gets that done, and I think in as much as we love the curriculum that we're utilizing, I think that that's such that's one of the biggest pieces. Having the right people in the right places is a big deal too, and so having a passion like Breeze to oversee all of this is important. It's not always I like the Y Try curriculum because you don't always have to be the most dynamic um, facilitator of the program because the curriculum speaks for itself. However, if you're going to be coaching as well as teaching, as well as helping to give that technical assistance, then Bree does such a phenomenal job of facilitating all of that together. And so, just to give her a little kudos there because it is a big
Thank you.
undertaking, and in that department specifically, it's just Bree. She has support from us as well, but she's doing a lot of that work on her own. And so yeah, those nuts and bolts are all the things that she deals with on a daily basis and getting that done and doing a great job, of course. One of the main things that I love about these trips too, though, is the last lesson of Y Try is the wall. And we talk about, I mean, I think I've been using this metaphor for quite a long time. We have a physical wall here where we live, and it's the mountains around all of us. We live in a valley that a lot of kids can't see past the mountains. And so as we give them these opportunities, they can see what's out there. They see it online, they see it in videos, but to actually take them to a place that's not I mean, it looks like the Midwest here. It's very flat, lots of farmland. It's very different than the California most people think about. But this program specifically and a lot of the other ones too really work hard at helping them see over the wall, over the mountains, and opportunities that are there for them. So it's such a neat process for all the kids that get to be involved in this.
Awesome. So the moral of the story is if every district office can just hire a Bree,
Right.
they'll be
That's huge.
they'll be golden.
Right.
You have been very generous in sharing your process, and I'm so happy that we've been able to give you a place to tell this story, and not just tell. This isn't your story. This is your students' story, and I love that. I love that for them. I love that they've got you there. I always like to end these out with some type of a question on a high note, although this whole thing has been a high note. But I will ask you, I'll throw it out to you. And while I ask you the question, I'm going to put up some slides rotating with Bree. I didn't ask your permission, but I already have Renee's permission. Are you good if I put your email address up if anybody
Oh,
wants
yeah,
to?
of course, please. Hmm.
Um, so the question that I like to end on is what is something that is giving you hope right now in education or hope for the youth of America and for our communities right now? Share with us just one thing that has cause for you to pause and have hope. Let's start with Bree, and then we'll go to Renee.
Yeah, have hope. I think the students care, like the way that they care for one another. I've seen countless times that students have, I'm like, I'm amazed at how much care they have for one another, or how much empathy that they can have for each other. When sometimes adults have a difficult time doing that same thing, but students are right there with their friend. So I think it'd be the empathy.
I love it. And sometimes those events are the best ways to bring that out because it is like
Mm,
this little mini journey they're going on. They're away
yeah,
from home for a period of time. Sometimes they're in a area that is uncomfortable or uncertain to them. And so
yeah.
they really do get the opportunity in those spaces to help one another. I love it.
Hmm.
Renee.
Yeah, I think similarly, but a little bit different is the idea of connectedness. I mean, obviously, social media and things can be a villain at times, but I love the idea that there is a place to connect in person, definitely online, definitely resources, things that are coming up that they can connect to and communities they can be a part of, understanding the idea that they're not alone. They have a lot of things going on, and the world can be a little bit crazy sometimes, but there's always somewhere to connect, and that's such a big deal. And I think the idea of letting people connect with them too, as Bree was talking about, caring about one another in that idea. But the opportunity for connection is just an amazing thing.
I love it. I agree. It really is just incredibly inspiring to see the all the connectiveness and how it just how important that is from a support standpoint to all of us, myself included.
Mhm.
I feel connected to your story,
Mhm.
by the based on the small part that I've been able to participate in it. I'll answer my own question. Um, which is the thing that I think inspires me is seeing, um, oh, how do I put this in a way? I want to represent my thoughts accurately. So I look at Bree and Renee and, even from your organization, Bob or Jeff or Brittany, and these are all humble people. And I know none of you would look at yourself or describe yourself as, um, like a superhero or like greater than anybody else. You're humble people that just want to do the work and are passionate about helping students. And to me, one of the important messages from this story is that's who gets stuff done. It's the humble people that just have a passion for helping students and a determination to not be told no when it comes to seeing their vision through that just show up and quietly do the work and get it done. And these are the people that end up in the field of education and mental health and student and community support. And it's so inspiring to me, just to see you work. Seeing you describe your vision and your passion is inspiring to me. It makes me want to be a more committed educator and student advocate as well. And so, these stories are really what give me hope. And so I thank you so much for sharing. Give our panelists a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for telling the story of these students. Attendees, give yourselves a round of applause. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being part of this. You all are a key part of this community and this process, and I admire all of your interest in trying to help your students to be more resilient. Um, this is always a unique time of year. I hope that you are feeling supported and motivated right now. If you are at a point of discouragement, which sometimes can happen in this field, I hope that this break will allow you to recharge your batteries, and I hope that you'll be able to connect with some people and have some colleagues there locally that can help boost your energy and your enthusiasm towards the work, because we need you here. We need great people in this field. It's not easy work, but it is really rewarding. So thank you, everybody. I'm gonna close this out with a little bit of music. We probably won't do another one of these.